Hi, I'm Rhys Lawton, and this is MainScream Media, watching the mainstream news so you don't have to. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. So grab your cakes and let's ambush the news! Surprise! Everyone wants a slice of Sue Gray. Yes, the civil service ball breaker and her much-hyped blockbuster, Boris Johnson and the number 10 lockdown parties. Spielberg's already got the rights. But like any bestseller, they all want a bit of the action. Teams of lawyers all making sure those number 10 busybodies, HR pen pushers, even the police are OK with the finished product. You know how it works, those last-minute rewrites, characters added in or taken out, a few new plot twists. Or maybe Sue's just picking a font, reformatting the references, or wondering how to remove a page break. That all meant a desperate waiting game where no one in the mainstream knew what was happening.
Now, that report by Sue Gray won't be published in full until the police have finished investigating.
Her report could be published by the morning.
The now likely publication of the Sue Gray report, possibly relatively imminently.
Nice try, you lot. You don't have a clue!
I'm not holding you personally responsible for the absence of the Sue Gray. Where is it?
What will be left of the report when the wolves have finished tearing it apart? Well, who knows? We were promised it in full, weren't we? The language is changing as we speak.
Will you publish it in full?
Of course.
The right way to handle this is to get all the facts out there.
The government's committed to publishing the full findings of the report.
I'm not quite sure the shape and the form it will come, but the Prime Minister's been clear there'll be full transparency around this.
Yes, the report in full might now mean the full facts, the full findings, or, well, something else, not really sure. Maybe the full extent of what's left of it. But full transparency too, right? Truly Orwellian. So what's in the report, or what was in it? Well, if you believe those in the know, damning revelations, gory photos, very uncomfortable reading for Boris Johnson.
If the report is as bad for the Prime Minister as I fear for his sake, it will be.
Well done. Remembered you're a journo rather than a spokesperson. Lines are so blurry, aren't they? At least you had more luck than your deputy.
Oh, something's going wrong with Screeny. Come back to me. It's magic. Tell you what, come back to me and I'll show you and explain all of this a little bit later.
All right, Anushka, we got the gist of where you were going anyway.
Not sure we did, but back to Robert, he's more important. The police interest in the report was a weird one, wasn't it? They hate investigating stuff, then surprised us all with a dick move.
I can confirm that the Met is now investigating a number of events that took place at Downing Street and Whitehall in the last 2 years.
Yes, Dame Cressida Dick, Metropolitan Police Commissioner. She decided now was exactly the right time for a boys in blue to get stuck in. What happened to can't investigate historic breaches of the COVID rules too long ago and no evidence?
His fictional party was a business meeting. And it was not socially distanced.
Like I said, no evidence. So, what changed? Bit of a suspicion that this was Cressida helping out her mate Boris. You're off the case, Sue. Leave it to the professionals. We'll get to the bottom of it in a few years or so. And realising how bad that looks, the cops quickly said they weren't trying to delay it. Publish and be damned. So, why are you getting involved, Crest? The last thing we heard, they were helping Sue with her inquiries. Apparently had damning evidence too. After all, officers on the door of Downing Street are in prime position to be in the know, aren't they? Perhaps they told Sue all about it, and she told them, like, I'm just a civil servant. Maybe you should go to the police about this. They'll be interested. Will they? Said the police. Yes, said Sue, and luckily they are also you. What the hell are you playing at? All the delays might help Boris. Give him a bit of breathing space, if by help you mean be the first PM ever to be interviewed under caution. He says he hasn't broken the law. You'll forgive me if I don't take him at his word. But it could all buy him time. The main threat right now is a vote of confidence by Tory MPs. 54 letters are needed to trigger one. And he'll be hoping he can convince them that wait for Sue should become wait for Dick. The Partygate revelations are still coming thick and fast. The latest being Boris's own birthday party in number 10 during the first lockdown. I stumbled in and thought it was something to do with work. Then they started singing and I thought it was another Boris.
In a sense, ambushed with a cake.
Yes. Connor Burns, Minister for Northern Ireland, thinks Boris is under attack from Colin the Caterpillar. This was a surprise bash for 30 people inside the Cabinet Office. Cake and picnic food from Marks and Sparks. Close colleagues, sure. Oh, and the decorator.
Why was Lulu Little there?
Well, I was going to say, I saw the interior designer, who I don't who I don't know, had put out a statement saying she wasn't invited to anything. I think she had come in for a meeting.
19th of June, 2 p.m, if you're a details guy, which Boris isn't. Probably why he forgot this too.
I urge everyone to continue to show restraint and respect the rules which are designed to keep us all safe.
No indoor social gatherings allowed. Rule of 6 outside. It was only a few minutes, Downing Street desperately tried to claim. They talked about work, didn't they? Perhaps. But with nearly 20 of these things on the list, it hardly matters, does it? No worries. Who can we get out to bat for Bojo? Anyone? Oh, come on.
I don't know if you can see behind me, Sarah Jane, but there is absolutely nothing going on here at all. And on a day like today, when there is a lot of news happening very quickly, that is quite surprising.
Don't worry, I'm sure there are plenty of Boris's chums around to chat about how great he is.
We'd like to talk to a government minister about it this morning. Unfortunately, we can't. But we'll keep you updated on that situation.
Yeah.
The chair is currently
If any government ministers are around, we do have some cake over here if you'd like to come in.
Very mature, guys. Haven't seen a better empty chair since Piers Morgan walked off your set. They were hoping for the Foreign Secretary, and Liz Truss did turn up on Sky, where she looked absolutely thrilled about it.
Did you go to any parties? That's not speculation.
I didn't.
Any?
No.
Were you ever invited?
No.
Looks more annoyed about being left out, to be honest. Anyone else around? Oh, come on, you lot. No, not Jacob Rees-Mogg. Last time he did the gig, he managed to have a go at the Scottish Tory leader. No one? OK. Jake, try to save him.
In my view, is the change of leader requires a general election.
I think that's meant to scare the rebels away. Might be your view, Jake, but it's not the rules. Kind of sums up why we're in this mess. But didn't have a go at your own side, so that's a win. Well done. And where's the environment guy, George Eustace? No, right the first time.
I think some of these allegations have got a little bit out of hand.
Yes, the allegations got out of hand, rather than all the crazy parties when we were all under house arrest, trying to keep people safe by staying indoors, saving the NHS and stopping the spread of the pandemic. Even trying not to infect our family and friends. You know, following the law and displaying empathy. Or maybe you forgot all about that. Tory backbencher Edward Lee summed up the mood of literally no one.
The public, in a sense, are moving on.
In a sense, Ed, yes. And in another, more real sense, very much no. Nice try. And if all else fails, try the sympathy card. The PM's had a tough few years. COVID, you know. Grant Shapps, remind us all.
The Prime Minister had been in hospital, a couple of months before that. Very near-death experience.
Very concerning, though at the time you guys told us it was fine. He just needed some oxygen. So the question becomes, did you lie then or are you lying now? Maybe try to change the subject entirely. Is something going on over there?
Invading Ukraine, from a Russian perspective, is going to be a painful, violent and bloody business.
Yes, but perfect if you want a little foreign adventure to take the heat off. Some fell for it. Yes, all of us about nothing, right, the Mail? Unfortunately for Bojo, most didn't take the bait. Still all about your lockdown-busting partying, mate.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
Joe was actually taking aim at a Fox News reporter, for want of a better word, who was concerned about inflation. But you can see why I got confused. If not, why Joe did. Is he OK? But lies and obfuscation aside, at least all the delays save us, for now, from a fate worse than Boris. Yes, one does exist.
Let's move forward to the end of next week.
Yes.
Could you be Prime Minister?
No.
Something everyone can celebrate. Hang in there, Bojo. This week's dead cat, to distract from all the Partygate stuff. Well, perhaps this. A live cat or a dog, you choose. Yes, damning revelations about the Afghanistan pullout. Boris Johnson, yes, him again, might have pulled strings to help out after saying he didn't. Luckily for Bojo, Prince Andrew helped him out again, bumped him off the front pages. And he's demanding trial by jury in that civil sex assault case in New York. Doesn't sound that bad. The Boris stuff, Andy's thing, is a right nightmare, even by the PM standards. Needless to say, they both deny everything.
This whole thing is total rhubarb.
For Bojo, maybe the Afghan story is all part of a plan to make him look a bit better. Tried to get things done behind the scenes, didn't want to take the credit? Maybe. Until you remember what a massive balls-up it all was. Lots of bloodshed, many left behind, and one guy's holiday totally ruined.
The sea was actually closed.
But what's Boris meant to have done? Helped get some people out? Well, no. Not some people, some pets. Emails uncovered by the Foreign Affairs Select Committee suggest the PM personally intervened to get a load of animals out of there, something he denied before Christmas.
Did you intervene that way?
No, that's complete nonsense.
Was it, though? This was all about Pen Farthing, animal rescuer extraordinaire, got his menagerie of nearly 200 rescue cats and dogs out of Kabul. Old school, tough talker, charmer.
I'm going to spend the rest of my time destroying you.
There was always a suspicion he had friends in high places, like, well, Boris and animal-loving wife Carrie. And Penn did make it against all the odds. Funny that, even though the line at the time was very much get stuffed.
Frankly, I have to prioritise people at the moment over pets.
Come on, say Boris's ever-decreasing circle of mates. Surely not the worst thing Boris has ever lied about. Have you seen the list? Stop being silly. We all know he's an animal lover. Who doesn't love a puppy? Well, perhaps those who lost relatives in the pullout, or those with families still there. One rule for them, another for the PM's mates' furry friends. Hey, at least we're not talking about illegal lockdown parties. COVID! It's all over bar the shouting. Except it's not over, but there is a lot of shouting. The government's still pushing ahead with the COVID? What COVID line? Plan B's out. Get your masks off, stop testing, back to work, you lot. Vaccine passports? Vaccine what? Forget it. So now we deal with the fallout, like people catching a virus that's still running riot. But that wasn't fazing the Transport Secretary. Grant Shapps was quickly with the new normal this week. No testing for fully vaxxed incoming travellers. Now, wait just a second, guys. I get that we can't do much about the COVID already here, but what if these people are bringing in more COVID or another variant? Nah, sod it. Come in, it'll probably be okay. All right, then. But the COVID U-turn means a curious contradiction with the vaccine rollout. See, the deadline for all NHS staff to get their state-enforced jabs or lose their jobs is fast approaching. Health experts are worried. Oh, and that nice Dr. Hillary off the telly too. Why?
Now, since all restrictions are being abandoned, more people are likely to get the transmission of the COVID outside of hospitals than inside hospitals. So making people lose their jobs over this now makes very little sense.
Yes, if the virus really is on the retreat, as the government seems convinced it is, if only for political reasons, the staff shortages this might create are far more worrying. 6% of staff face the axe, and that all triggered massive protests. Or small ones if you're watching the BBC.
Hundreds of people marched in cities across England to protest against the policy, but the Department of Health says there are no plans to delay it.
Yes, hundreds, says the BBC, getting accused of underselling it all again. Will the government U-turn now or when reality bites? Probably leave it too late again and panic. Speaking of reality biting, the COVID fallout's also causing chaos at the Treasury. Rishi Sunak's whiz kids have written off nearly £4.3 billion stolen from its COVID schemes. Because, why bother going after it? It's only money. Well, yes, only our money. I bet if it was yours, you'd be there faster than a trip to Devon when the PM's in trouble. Anyway, the government's counter-fraud minister had had enough of it all. Lord Agnew quit over what he called schoolboy errors. No, not forgetting your PE kit or late-night partying when matron's on the prowl. Leave that to the PM. I mean, like giving out COVID loans to companies that hadn't been trading before the pandemic. Over 1,000 of them. Yes, really. That said, this is the government that brought you COVID contracts for Tory chums, even pub landlords with zero experience, and a VIP system the courts ruled unlawful. So I'm more surprised that his lordship's just realised the scale of the incompetence. But while the government will happily let billions of our cash slide, what it will get tough on is those lazy sods still working from home. Get back to the office is its order of the day, loyally followed by its mainstream minions. COVID's still around. Why risk it? Because we said so. Oh, I guess that's fine. Leading by example, yeah? How many are back in your department, Business Secretary?
I would say it's about nearly 50%, but it's going to increase
nearly
over the next few days and weeks.
So it's less than half, and you're expecting the rest of the country to get on their trains and buses.
So Nick, I mean, I hadn't been fully prepared for this questioning. I would have got the exact number for you if I knew that you were going to ask that, and I will get back to you on that.
Well, OK. You don't think that perhaps it would have been an idea to know that figure?
Well, I've learnt my lesson.
Maybe the real problem is getting to work. Grant, need you again. Sky-high fares, grubby seats, freezing buses and trains, late-running services. Let's have a crack at all that, yeah?
Service update from the control room. There is currently a good service running on the line.
If you travel by train, You've probably heard some of these messages, time and again, repeated over and over. Well, some messages are clearly important, but others just state the obvious. Do we really need to be told to put our newspapers in the bin?
Are you okay? Grant, is that really you? No, it's not a deep fake.
So we've reviewed the messages that are played on the tannoy system, and where they add nothing but noise and irritation, we're removing them.
Yes, get rid of all that noise and irritation. Bye, Grant. What is it about the Tories and Islamophobia? No, not the row itself, the free pass the mainstream seems to give them. It all began with a damning scoop. Former Transport Minister Nusrat Ghani says she was sacked from her role because of her Muslimness. It was becoming an issue. She was making colleagues uncomfortable. Yes, really. Wowzers. Who said that? Well, we don't know. She didn't want to name names. Luckily for us, but not for him, the chief whip fessed up. Actually, said he didn't say it. These accusations are completely false, and I consider them to be defamatory. I have never used those words attributed to me. Hang on. Mate, if she didn't name anyone, and you say you didn't say those words, how do you know she meant you? Anyway, Nusrat accused the PM of not taking it seriously at the time, and rather than saying sorry or telling us his side, Boris launched an inquiry. Kind of the done thing these days. Avoid it completely with a lovely investigation. Maybe Sue Gray can do it. If it gets too hot, get the police involved or send some troops somewhere. The party's had a troubling relationship with Islamophobia. Ever since, well, let's face it, Boris Johnson wrote those racist Telegraph columns, comparing Muslim women to letterboxes and bank robbers. Might explain why the paper doesn't go after him much. Oh, sorry if you're offended, said Bojo, years later. But you've taken it out of context, haven't you? Have we, though? It was hardly a one-off. Another Tory, Zach Goldsmith, was accused of running an Islamophobic London mayoral campaign, linking Sadiq Khan to terrorists. Relax, he lost and was kicked out of the party. Not really. He did lose, but Boris gave him a seat in the House of Lords. And when you've got rank-and-file members, even councillors, suspended for posting racist stuff online, such as comparing Asian people to dogs, then let back in again, you know things aren't great. But we've had an inquiry before. The current health secretary kind of forced one during the leadership race.
Do you all agree, guys? Should we have an external investigation of the Conservative Party into Islamophobia? Absolutely. They all agree. Rory, do you agree? Excellent. They agree.
Don't look that happy, do they? Anyway, that report, 2 years later, found no institutional racism in the party. Nice one. Oh, it recommended an action plan, code of conduct, equality training. Has anything happened? Well, no. Probably the kind of thing Boris is hoping for here. So, what to do? For the Tory backers, how can we spin it? Well, Nusrat's a vice chair of the 1922 committee, isn't she? Like Willy Ragg, he's having a go at Boris as well. Let's imply it's all a plot to get the PM. Not say it, just put the smell out so you feels a bit sick. Or perhaps get the rank and file to discredit Nusrat on some obliging media channel. Where's that guy with the crazy hair? Michael Fabricant. Yeah, let Michael fabricate.
For her to say that someone had said it's because she's a Muslim, I mean, she's hardly someone who's obviously a Muslim.
So, the reasoning is, Michael, it can't be Islamophobic. She barely looks like a Muslim? Bit of a hard sell, that. What else can we make this about? What about the Labour Party's issues with anti-Semitism? Bit of a stretch, guys. Wait, maybe, yes. Make it about Jeremy Corbyn. There's a big old row in Labour about whether Keir Starmer gives him the whip back. Is all that really relevant? Another party, another issue, and a party that did have an investigation and took action, whatever you make of it. Won't it look like deflecting attention, spreading the mud? Never mind all that. Ask the chair of the Labour Party about Corbyn, quick!
That whip has not been restored to Jeremy Corbyn. It's a decision ultimately for the whip to take.
All very interesting, but how did this become a story about Corbyn again? I don't think it's controversial to say Brexit's been a bit of a shitstorm, even if you're a fully signed-up member of the Unicorns in the Sunlit Uplands Party. It's certainly not the Brexit you voted for in your head, is it? Yes, Brexit might be done, but that's only if you define done as, well, we're nearly there, give us a call in 10 years. Maybe make it 20. Foreign Secretary Liz Truss is the latest unfortunate to be dealing with it. You remember, the last guy quit after realising the deal he'd done was a crock of shit? No, sorry, Frosty, you quit because of the COVID stuff, didn't you? Anyway, Liz has been telling the EU guy who drew the short straw that there must be a deal on Northern Ireland. Almost got his name right, too.
I'll be catching up with Maros Sefcovic next week, and we want to make progress. We believe there is a deal to be done.
You say there's been progress. Where? In what areas?
I'm not going to provide a running commentary to the media.
That's convenient. You are providing one on Ukraine, but that's different, isn't it? Because you don't really have to do anything. Of course, I don't know exactly what Maros Sefcovic said, but I'll wager it went something like, Liz, let me introduce you to something. It's called the Northern Ireland Protocol. The thing you guys signed up to. That's it. That's the deal. But it's causing massive problems for us, whines Liz. Well, says Maros, let's be fair. That's not the deal, is it? That's Brexit. You should have thought of that before you voted for it. Actually, says Liz, I've got you there. I voted Remain. To which Maros replies, are you all right? Where's the real Foreign Secretary? Like, Frosty, is this some kind of New Year's joke? Good one, Dave. Shall we get back to it now? Oh. Which is probably why there'll be no progress. Mainstream coverage has been a bit sparse of late, even when footage emerged of those lorries queuing for miles on the way to Dover. Yes, the stuff we were assured, at least by the Brexity papers, definitely wouldn't happen. Bit awkward. It goes on a bit. Which is why the Brexity papers, well, just ignored it. There's the last time the Telegraph went near the madness. All totally fine. The real Brexit news is about how we're going to start getting drugs faster and see a boom in financial services. Not yet, of course, but all coming soon. You wait. Lorries what? OK, if we must talk about the lorries that might or might not be queuing, at least blame those sodding Ramonas. Look at them, gloating that you can see it all from space. At least the Express did mention the queuing. Hard to avoid it, really. But there's the Mail trying valiantly to do just that. It's decided the story is really about how your holidays might be affected by those queues that barely got a mention. But it's the EU's fault, or the bloody Frenchies being spiteful again. Of course I knew it. The French, up to their old tricks. Just like over Christmas when they tried to stop us coming in because of COVID or some nonsense. And then recently they got all sneaky on us, as they always do. Tried to smuggle in a secret underwater weapon. What was it? A cable to supply us with electricity. How evil! Yes, a cable full of energy coming from the continent. What with that energy crisis coming sounds actually quite sensible. Don't be silly, the government soon put a stop to that. No thanks, Macron, said the Express. Nuts to you, don't want your power cables. Up yours, Delors. Actually, said the French president, I think you've mistaken me for a former EU Commission president or a private contractor. It wasn't just the madman at that rag. Trade Minister Penny Mordaunt, who really should know better, was banging the drum too. What if the French turn off the power? They'll use it as a bargaining chip in the fish wars. They threatened to before, didn't they? Also, look at me, chaps. I can be your Maggie Thatcher. What's that Liz Truss got that I don't? She smells of rotten fish and jam. Point me at a coal mine. Raise the Belgrano and I'll sink it again. Sorry, that got a bit weird. And yes, the fish wars are back. They almost properly kicked off before Christmas.
I think the big question that most of us want to know is, are we at war with France?
Well, we're not. Yes, it all got very heated about who owns the fish. We do. They're all ours. Remember, the French said that they were entitled to more fishing licences, even seized one of our trawlers. OK, our boat broke the rules. OK, they didn't really seize it. OK, we gave them more licences, but I think we won the moral victory. And the French did threaten to cut off our power. No, it was a mistranslation. They didn't say that. But they might have done. Anyway, the business secretary really stuck it to the French over this cable, didn't he? Even if it's in our own best interests, can't let them have a win. Actually, no, he had a much more boring explanation.
A 1.2 billion cable connecting the British and French power grids, which I read in one of today's papers, today's Times, you have blocked. Why so?
Yeah. Well, it was on a planning purely a planning issue about the local environment and safeguards on that. But you'll appreciate that the counterparty may well take us to court, and so it's not something that I want to comment on.
Yeah, planning stuff, all very boring. Don't ask me, can't say any more, they might sue. Very convenient. If we'd seen Nick's copy of Today's Times, it might have been clearer why Kwasi wasn't that keen to chat. It's not just the French trying to screw us. There's the Russian angle. Yes, secretive tycoon Alex Temerko, the guy behind the cable. So secret we've even got a picture. He's one of them. Can't have Putin's hands on our energy supply, can we? Not another of his hands anyway.
We are particularly exposed to that imported gas from countries like Russia, who do have us over a barrel.
They don't. We get barely 1% from them. But it's the principle of the thing. Well done, Kwasi. Stood up to the Kremlin. Oh, no, it seems Alex and Vlad are sworn enemies. This guy is a Tory donor and has lobbied loads of ministers about the cable. Not just Kwasi, but his predecessors. COP26 blubberface Alok Sharma, Christine Hamilton 2.0 Andrea Leadsom, and one of the many guys who fucked up Brexit. Temerko's very close to Boris too. He and the PM even have a pet name for each other. Sasha. Why? Well, because that's Russian for Alex. And also because that's Boris's real name. It is, go check. And because they're having an affair. Sasha, really? Not again. None of this sounds right. Getting a bit too close to Bojo used to be the surefire way to get things done. In fact, the only way to get things done. But I guess the Tories decided it's one more headache they don't need when you're dealing with illegal parties, rebellions, bullying and cash for access. You can't blame the other Alex for trying. Try next week, mate. Or try Macron. You know what the French are like. The BBC's having a bit of a bumpy time with the government right now. They've got an uneasy relationship at the best of times. A state-funded broadcaster accused of being a bit too critical of its overlords. This week, trying to expose an overseas spy. And those overlords constantly threatening to turn off the magic money tap. But if there's one show you can rely on to really toe the government line and set a good example, it's Question Time. We know this is a show that really loves its COVID theatre, goes above and beyond the regulations, even if it undermines them massively when they all get backstage. Still, aren't we good, Boris? Always being seen doing the right thing? Not like, well, you, mate. Lots of masks for the audience, plenty of social distancing too. Maybe throw in a Nazi salute so you don't look too lefty. And for the panel, still got those bizarre partitions because COVID can't get round them, can it? Which is why it was such a surprise when smiley Fiona Bruce, probably thinking about her 400 grand a year, went a bit rogue.
We're looking for people to come and be part of our audience who are unvaccinated.
What's that? You want unvaxxed people in the audience now? Think it's all a bit too safe there? Need a bit of jeopardy? Maybe test your impenetrable defences? OK, so they're going to do a special on why some people are choosing not to get the vaccine. There's the Times getting the scoop just 4 days late, finally forced themselves to watch it. I know your pain. And the Mail copying its homework. Any excuse to bash the Beeb. Aunties fueling an anti-vaxxer row, right? The thing that the Mail does all the time? But let's look at what the Beeb's doing. Yes, I know vaxxed people can still get COVID and pass it on, so maybe it'll all be fine. Or it could be a massive super spreader event. I do know that I've got a very good reason not to get a ticket. OK, sure, yet another reason not to get one. But more interestingly, government sources are angry. One, wisely remaining anonymous, told the Times it would be odd given the government spends a lot of time trying to tackle this sort of misinformation. Yes, it would be odd, wouldn't it? If the programme makers were doing their job for the sole benefit of the government. Except that, OK, yes, I know they are, but we're not meant to know that, are we? Shh. Let's get stuck into cryptocurrencies. They're confusing, aren't they? Well, never fear, new laws to get tough on misinformation are on the way. Unluckily for us, not the kind of fake news peddled by the mainstream media. Those hacks who won't let not really understanding get in the way of a good story, as usual. But before we get in too deep, it should go without saying, but don't take any of the stuff they say as financial advice. Or, for that matter, anything I say as financial advice either. I wouldn't go to me for investment advice. Not since I bought one of those combined email telephone things. Internet and a landline in one. Whatever will Lord Sugar think of next? Just use a computer, said everyone except the voice in my head. If I'd not listened to myself, I might have already made my fortune in crypto. Or more likely just got really good at Call of Duty. So let's start with the facts, as the media never does. What is cryptocurrency? Well, it's a digital coin, isn't it? Got one right here. Actually, no, I haven't. It's invisible. It does exist, though. No, I am feeling OK. I don't have one here because they're stored and traded online. That all sounds a bit dodgy, doesn't it? Well, OK. But what do you think an online bank account is? And when did you last get physical cash out? 2019? All kinds of digital coins are out there. First and most famous, Bitcoin, over 13 years ago. Ethereum, XRP, Cardano, Polkadot. To be honest, I could be saying anything right now. Where did they come from originally? Well, so-called mining. The computer power needed to fuel the crypto network rewards those computers with shiny new digital coins. Massive energy costs. Bit of a nightmare. At least it's not literally digging stuff up, although sometimes it is. Crypto miners even opened a coal power plant in New York. Just what we need during a climate crisis. Yep, right environmental disaster, say the guys pulping 4 million trees a year to prop up their dying industry. Anyway, crypto's here. You can buy it, use it, trade it, spend it. Millions do, but no one in the media sphere has a proper look at it. Why? Because that would involve doing some work. Much easier just to follow someone else. What do the guys in charge think? And the problem with that, as if it needed saying, is the guys in charge are more interested in the status quo. Bloody upstarts!
I'm pretty hostile to this, and I think that you should put a big sign on the door saying, "Abandon hope, all ye who enter here."
Yes, what would the old white guy in charge of NatWest have against a major competitor? Don't worry, run with that line. It's a good one. Dante, right? Just about. Oh, look, he said something similar in 2017 when he was head of RBS. Misquoted Dante again. Maybe broaden your reading list, mate. Is anyone in the mainstream press reading the mainstream press? Nah, just focus on the take-home. Real money's much better than this newfangled mining stuff. Print what the guy said. But speaking of printing, that's all real money is. OK, a special printer. And when it's all gone, the banks just magic up some more from the ether. Sorry, quantitative easing. Crypto value can be volatile. Big drop last week. And Melania Trump's great hat auction went a bit wrong when the crypto she was using crashed. Aw, boo-hoo. Lots of things and people can have an impact, especially those in power. Like Bank of England boss Andrew Bailey, formerly head of the Financial Conduct Authority.
If you want to invest in Bitcoin, be prepared to lose all your money.
Yes, lose everything. There's the quote. There are the headlines loyally repeating it all. Be prepared to hit rock bottom, guys. You're dabbling with forces you don't understand. Oh, until the Bank of England had a great idea about a Bank of England cryptocurrency. How groundbreaking, indeed. Except, didn't someone warn about how risky it all is?
Be prepared to lose all your money.
Yeah, it was you. Oh, it's a different type. Oh, yours will be much better. A key point of crypto is there's no central bank, like the Bank of England, behind it all either. No interference, no regulation. And the banks hate that because they're jealous. Nah. Because central banks are brilliant, aren't they? Very safe. Except, does the Bank of England really have the reserves to back up the pound? Maybe in gold bullion? No, they haven't had enough for nearly 100 years. Oh, loads of Venezuelan gold, but that's not technically ours. Just resting in the account. All currencies, including crypto, just maintain value most of the time because everyone agrees that's what they're worth. But shh! Don't spook people. Bit orcs if you suddenly realise that 20 quid in your wallet is only valuable because of some kind of groupthink. Let's try another expert. It's all a gamble, screams the Sun, quoting respected money-saving geek Martin Lewis. You know, Mr. Change all your utility companies and save £1 a year. And actually, just part quoting him. He said, it's a gamble. But also, if you look at his full quote, like all forms of stocks and shares, like all forms of investment and putting money in gold. Yes, like anything else, really. Crypto has had some massive highs and lows. But instead of doing some serious reporting on the pros and cons, it's, look, this kid's a millionaire, what a legend! Totally forgotten about that guy last month who lost $500,000 on it. But Reece, there's some stability in sterling at least. Well, sure, unless you look at inflation, running at over 5%. Oh, and there's no chance of my bank going bust, unless you count 2008, when most of them did. Which led to the whole obsession with deregulated currencies, so the banks only have themselves to blame. The latest media obsession is crypto scams. Some are scams. Remember the Squid Game crypto? That was bollocks. Nothing to do with the show, just a traditional stock market scam. Get everyone to give you cash for something worthless, then cash out. If you're lucky, the papers will even give you free advertising, then quickly pretend they didn't. But now for the mainstream, scam equals crypto. So much easier to lump it all together than try to understand. Yes, there they are. Misleading ads for crypto are getting banned. Anything to do with crypto? No. It's like blaming Vauxhall because that bloke down the pub sold you an old banger. Actually, no. It's like blaming Vauxhall because that guy said he'd sell you something that wasn't a Vauxhall and then took your cash and left. Here's another. Harry and Meg's. What a pair of con artists, right? No, they've been used to plug a scam. Nothing to do with them. Lots of clarity that it's nothing to do with them. No clarity that it's nothing to do with Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. Watch out, though. Crypto. It's all a bit weird and scary. Yes, of course we understand it. Why, do you? The mainstream media's never had it so good. All that COVID fills loads of column inches and airtime. Has done for 2 years. But that only goes so far during the silly seasons, those being the long summer months and the bit just after Christmas when it's all a bit flat. Like now. And that means lots of utter balls masquerading as news. Let's have a look. Hit it, Nigel. No, I mean do the thing. Then maybe pop some ice on that, mate. Straight in at 10, the Daily Express makes up a story based on some mind-numbing telly. An Antiques Roadshow guest is left astounded at the value of their old crap.
It's therefore worth approximately £12,000.
What's less amazing is that the episode's nearly a decade old itself. At 9, the Daily Mail with sausages on a drone. Hampshire Police, the Portsmouth Coast Guard, a team of kayakers and umpteen local volunteers spend 4 days and loads of taxpayers' cash finding a lost dog by tying tasty treats to a flying robot.
After a search that lasted several days, she was eventually located on mudflats. But with the tide coming in and no way to access the area, rescuers came up with a novel way to coax her towards safety.
At 8, The Mirror with Vladimir Putin's pole dancing room. The best picture's unfortunately a computer-generated image of what they think it might look like. And even The Mirror accepts it is far from clear that Putin has ever lived here. At 7, The Sun. 2 blokes in Ireland drag a dead guy into a post office to claim his pension. That's not them in the pic. Think staff might have noticed the stretcher. They dropped the corpse when challenged and pretended he was having a heart attack. Weekend at Bernie's, anyone? At 6, The Times with banana on steroids could be answer to world hunger. Amazing! Feed the world! Only it's not really a banana and it doesn't even taste like one. Don't call Bob Geldof just yet. In at 5, Prince Andrew news. No, not his New York court case or hanging out with a sex trafficker. No, how about Creepy Andy kept his wife's wedding dress after they divorced? In a wardrobe, too. What a weirdo. He also rang the bell to have someone close the curtains he was sitting next to. Probably the worst stuff he's ever done, including having a pizza in Woking. Thank God no one saw that! At 4, the Daily Star. Don't worry, it's safer work and parties that you thought were work. Boris Johnson, right? What's the latest on him? The PM shocked everyone when he revealed his favourite football team. What a scoop! Well, it was when they first printed it in 2015. Bit intrigued. What's his shocking team? Northampton Town? Borussia Mönchengladbach? Not someone French. No, he cheers for every London team. Yes, all of them. How revealing. At 3, the Daily Express with tired swan rescued by police in Loughborough. It's not the first time swans have stopped the traffic, the paper gushes. Then lists a massive total of 2 of them. I don't have time. At 2, the Daily Telegraph. Kate Middleton confirms the best colour to wear is cockapoo. Isn't that a type of dog? And aren't dogs all kinds of colours? What Cruella de Vil shit is this? Where's the evidence? Ah, as she cuddled toffee-coloured pup Alfie, she remarked, "He matches my coat." A simple throwaway remark, a whole season of content for the fashionistas. And at 1, good old Auntie Beeb's website with robot vacuum cleaner escapes from a Cambridge travel lodge. For those worried, don't be. The hotel confirmed the little guy was found safe and well and is now back with his robot family. Trivial guff? Sure, but in this case, literally everyone ran it too. That local reporter really cleaned up. Roll on, February. And now it's time for my Scream of the Week.
The other big change is that the brown M&M has, quote, transitioned from high stilettos to lower block heels. Also less sexy. That's progress. M&Ms will not be satisfied until every last cartoon character is deeply unappealing and totally androgynous. Until the moment you wouldn't want to have a drink with any one of them. That's the goal. When you're totally turned off, we've achieved equity. They've won.
So that's me, Rhys Lawton, and until next time, I will be watching the mainstream news so you don't have to. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've just noticed my pants are on fire and I need an inquiry to put them out.